from those four speakers, then you will hear from the leader. You will hear from the five-star general.
I have a song to send the NDP mad. Tell them labor, honey, we blood.
Bearing in mind that 5 is a mystical number. You see, there were 5 wise virgins. But there were also 5 foolish ones. And if you interpret this thing well, you will realize that the 5 are on this side. That's the 5 wise ones. And the 5 foolish ones are on the other side.
Now we jump and say 5 in a row. 5 in a row. 5 in a row. They want to know how people have come and so 5 in a row.
Yes, you had to put a little oil in the lamp. And this Unity Labour Party has been so structured in such a way that leadership is an essential issue. Have you ever yet noticed a flock of birds landing on the electrical wires? All of them never land at the same time. They always operate in a structured manner. The leader lands first, and then all the others in descending order. And when they are about to leave to fly off to somewhere else, the leader flies off first, and then all the others in a particular order then flies off. This is how the ULP has gone about the business of governance in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in a structured manner with a leader who has organized a team that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has endorsed and will continue to give their support to carry this great country of ours forward and to continue to lift it higher and higher. 5 in a row.
Now we jump and say 5 in a row. 5 in a row. 5 in a row.
Comrades,
They want to know how people
we operating with structured time here tonight. And as such, I am ready to call the first speaker to the podium. None other than the Honorable Frederick Augustus Stevenson, for us, the humble African, the Minister of Social Development. And he will tell you all about the programs and the policies and the work that has been done in this great ministry, which touches the pulse of our people in terms of the poor and the working class. Comrade Stevenson.
Here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and those listening on radio and those viewing on social media, good night once again to all our comrades and friends. When this Unity Labour Party took the reins of governance in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 2001, what was the state of the economy relative to the social safety net programs? The poverty headcount index was 37.5% in 1995 and 1996. And indigence level for that same period was 25.7%. The 2007-2008 poverty assessment report by the same Kyrie consultants showed that the poverty headcount was reduced to 30.2% and indigence to 2.9% under the leadership of this same ULP government. How did the ULP government achieve these reductions? We set about targeted programs for expansion in the economy for the export of goods and services. We created an environment where persons in the country can use their talents and their skills. We strengthened the social safety net programs within the Ministry of National Mobilization. We improved in ICT, in housing, in education, in adult education, literacy, and training, among several other initiatives. In 2001, the public assistance paid under the NDP was $60 a month for persons. This Unity Labour Party government, since being elected in office over the period of 19 years, have increased the public assistance from $100. And now it stands at $250 for persons under 65 and $275 for persons 65 years and over. And let me say to you, once the Unity Labour Party government is returned to office for another 5 years, the public assistance benefit to our poor and indigent in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, those figures would be increased. A few days ago, I heard on the ULP platform that they want to take St. Vincent back to the golden days. The golden days would mean that taking public assistance back to $60 under the NDP. But I do not believe that there will be an NDP government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for a long time. In 2001, there was no YES program. This government created the Youth Empowerment Service Program, a program crafted for our young people so that they can gain work experience for the job market. Thousands of young persons since 2001, over 500 persons every single year since 2001 have been on the YES program. They've received small stipends of about $500 and some of them $850. And we want to thank the government and the people of Taiwan for their tremendous support in relation to the YES program. The YES program have seen young persons moving into the public and private sector, to nursing, to teaching, and to other areas in the government service because of their attachment on the YES program. Mr. Chairman, when we got into office, we met a woman's desk. 2 persons staffed that office. We have now, since 2001, created the Gender Affairs Division with a staff of over 12 persons.
ULP impressing. Ralph, you're impressing.
Disaster coordinator then under the NDP was in the Ministry of Social Development, staffed by 1 person. Now we have NEMO in the office of the Prime Minister with a staff of over 20 persons. You see, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, they didn't take at heart disaster very seriously, but we in this Unity Labour Party government have seen that disaster and disaster preparedness is a very important sector in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, Speaker, I just go back to the YES program. I hear them, Mr. Chairman, sorry. I hear them saying that they're going to mainland China. Comrades and friends, what would happen to our young people if in St. Vincent and the Grenadines we make a mistake to vote for the NDP? What would become of the YES program. That would fall by the wayside. I'm saying to our young people, listen and be warned. We never had a home help for the elderly program in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This program is another of the important flagship programs for this Unity Labour Party government. I can recall when the program was introduced by Sister Girl Miguel, the members of the opposition said, you're going to send people into old people's home to clean mess. This program today employs over 115 to 120 persons, catering to the needs of over 300 clients. And every day, comrades and friends, you hear persons asking, coming to the Ministry of National Mobilization, asking for space on the Home Helpers program. This Unity Labour Party government also in taking care of the needs of our elderly citizens in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We built 2 homes for the elderly so that they can go, one at Cane Grove and the other at Black Point, called the Golden Year Center, where the elderly can go there on a daily basis to enjoy the ambience of the facilities and to talk with their friends and other senior citizens, to play cards and to play other games. And they can enjoy themselves, and the doctors would go in from time to time and do their pressure checks, among others, to ensure that the elderly in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are taken care of.
I'm impressed.
This government has also rebuilt a home for elderly at the former nurses' hostel in preparation for the construction of a new Louis Punnett home. You see, this is a caring government, and we have to. It is stated that one of the hallmarks of a good government is how it takes care of the children, persons with disabilities, the young people, and the elderly. And this government has since 2001, showed that this is what we do. There are several other programs within the ministry that concerns and touches on the lives of persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have the Single Parents Program, the Teen Mothers Program, an Ex-Prisoners Program, a Youth in Agriculture Program, the Schools Cooperative Program, and Producers and Consumer Cooperatives. We are saying that we have to, as I said before, take care of the needs of all our people. The Ministry of National Mobilization also provides assistance for funeral and medical expenses. We provide assistance for school fees and exam fees for the vulnerable children in our schools. There's a program for meals and transport subsidies. There's basic amenities and disaster relief. And there's also an interim assistant benefit. And we also have a program where by some unfortunate means that somebody's house is destroyed by fire, the Ministry of National Mobilization also give assistance to that along with the Ministry of Housing. Comrades and friends, because of the COVID-19, this government through the Ministry of National Mobilization is assisting over 500 vulnerable persons with $200 monthly. And we started that in May, and it would end in December. But let me say to those persons who are on the COVID program, do not be worried. Once we get over COVID, because some of you are very vulnerable and really in need of these assistance, we would continue with you next year on the public assistance program. Comrades and friends, the ministry has expanded its services in the communities where staff is placed at the various learning resource centers throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so that persons can access the services provided at our offices in Kingston. Mr. Chairman and comrades and friends, this year, the Ministry of National Mobilization and the government has expended to date, and we're still working on the tally, over $850,000 for uniform assistance and back-to-school assistance.
Stronger than ever, great team, a great leader, so our future secure.
There are presently 4,300 persons on the public assistance program, as it is called. And every month, this government expends $2.315 million to meet the needs of the poor and vulnerable here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Comrades and friends, I want to turn swiftly to the constituency of South Windward. I want to say to us that work is continuing and progressing very smoothly on the Calder Main Road. Work is ongoing on the athletics track and football field in Diamond. A wonderful project there, Mr. Chairman, comrades and friends. I can't wait for that place to be completed so that I can beat Jimmy, Sess, and Buffy Curtis in a 100-meter race.
We are my neighbor, voting for Labour. We are my neighbor, voting for Labour.
The design for the bus stop at Diamond is nearing completion. And just yesterday I was told that we may have to wait a little longer because there might be some realignment in the road network there because of the new Hilton Holiday Inn Hotel that is going to be built at Diamond. So I want the people in Diamond to bear with us a little while. Your bus stop is coming while we're having a brand new Holiday Inn Hotel there. Braxa have done the assessment for the asphalt repairs work to the Simon Road, the Bonham Road, the Bottom Calder Road, the Calder Ridge and Carpen Village and Chile Roads. 3 pieces of earthen roads in Diamond are to be graded and stabilized. Very soon, we should see the groundbreaking works for the Holiday Inn Hotel at Diamond. There's also an earthen road in Provenvale, which would also be stabilized and concreted. I can't leave tonight without saying that the folks from Braxa and the office in Bible have said to me that they're looking for the design for Miss Sybil Peters' bridge in Simon. The Early Childhood Center at Bible is completed, and an official ceremony will be held very soon. I want to thank the BNTF and the Caribbean Development Bank for the tremendous work that they did there. I know Jimmy would be vexed with me when I say this, but I think out of the 2 new early childhood centers that have been constructed, one in Richland Park and the one in Bible is the more beautiful one. I will seek to work with the Teachers Credit Union for improvements to a piece of road in Cedars, which is leading to their new development project. And there's also a portion of road in Cedars that leads from an old bath that we're looking to do. Some new developments in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which will have an impact on job creation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and providing jobs and more jobs for all Vincentians include Hotel at Diamond, Montwin, Peters Hope, Rattermill. The acute referral hospital to complement the modern medical facility at Georgetown to be built at Arnesville. The new port facility in Kingston. Remember, the largest capital project in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Argyle International Airport, The NDP had said in the last election, if they had gotten into office, they would have to wait for 5 years to do an estimate and to do some feasibility study on the Argyle International Airport. But the Argyle International Airport is up and running and here to stay under this Unity Labour Party government. In closing, Mr. Chair, comrades and friends, I want to encourage all our ULP supporters and those persons who are not sure which party to vote for come the next elections. And today, first-time voters, I want to say to you that the ULP is the only party of choice. The wise men and the wise women followed the star. And I know that Vincentians are wise, and they will continue to follow the star, the Unity Labour Party. Let us continue to lift St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. South Windward is alive with Gustus for 5. Good night, comrades and friends, and may God continue to bless St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Love you.
Cause it's 5 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're ready for the general election. Ready to vote and start the celebration. 4 strong.
Yes, let me hear it for Gustus Day one more time. To me, I feeling as though this is a meeting that taking place somewhere in the park. The rousing applause that I am hearing come in. I forgot that there is a pandemic, but nevertheless, what I heard coming from Comrade Gustus, Comrade, them fellas say that you shouldn't stick, that you should ring the bell and let we send them home.
Ring the bell, let we send them home. Comrade, ring the bell, let we send them home. Oh, ring the bell, let we send them home.
All right, nice. We rolling according to time here. We rolling in a structured manner tonight. Comrade Julian, are keeping it nice and tight. Yeah, what's happening now? Under this administration, in the period of time that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has given the responsibility of the shipper state to the Unity Labour Party, there has been phenomenal progress. There's a total transition. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has certainly been lifted higher, and we will continue to lift it higher and higher. Because there has been a revolution. They will regard this government, when the political history of our country is written, they will regard this government as the revolutionary government, because there's a revolution in health, there is a revolution in housing, there is a revolution in agriculture, and of course there's a revolution in education. And I'm going now from one bald-head man to another bald-head man. And I'm going now to the man who is responsible and who is currently leading the continued charge in the education revolution. None other than Comrade Jimmy Prince, who is the sitting member for Marriaqua and who will continue to be the sitting member. Short and bald-head.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Ballhead. Comrades and friends, I bring you greetings from the platform of the greatest political organization in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Unity Labour Party. A political party which for the last 2 decades has been at the center of social and political life in this country. I am proud to be a member of this Labour family at such a critical time in our history. I am proud to be a member of this political party. This is a political party which built an impossible bridge across Marriaqua Dry River and transformed an entire community. This is the political party that built an impossible airport at Argyle and transformed an economy. This is the political party that launched into an education revolution here in this country. And this is the political party that has done so well with COVID-19. We didn't have a draconian shutdown. We didn't have curfew or state of emergency. And we have school. This is the political party I'm talking about. This is the political party I'm talking about. In our recent history, we have achieved many milestones and weathered many storms. I'm equally proud to say that the leadership of this party and government has helped us to navigate this new world order so well that we have moved from a sleepy backwater in 2001 to a country worthy of the attention of the entire world. And I'm speaking specifically about leadership of Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, and also about the fact that he was able to convince 185 countries to vote for us in a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. So when I talk about a political party being the greatest organization in this country, I have justification. At home, our people have enjoyed a quality of life that surpasses any period in our history since conquest and settlement. If you don't believe that, just go back to what Gusta said just now about poverty and indigence, which we inherited and which we have reduced considerably. So much so that we got some debt relief as a result of it. So let me once again salute this government, this party, and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for taking on the challenges of development so well over the last 2 decades in the interest of all of our people. These days, there has been a lame and weak call for change by some people with very few ideas. They are otherwise known as opposition. Change to them, they say, and you will see. They can't tell you what they will see or what you will see because they themselves don't know. They don't have a clue as to what is happening. They get up and they talk, they open their mouths, whatever come out, they go with it. They're not serious people. They want Vincentians to just go and vote for them, abandoning the progress, abandoning the principles, abandoning the development goals that we have set for ourselves to go and buy a pig in a bag. It won't happen. Because Vincentians have seen the transformation of this society in every aspect of national life. We can't go backwards. Forward ever is our mantra. Vincentians today are a strong, proud, and confident people, due mainly to change in their circumstances because of the policies of this administration. So we in the ULP, and Comrade Stagg just talk about revolution and change. We are the architects of change, the engineers of transformation. In short, we are the true revolutionaries in this Vincentian reality. We are the change makers. We are the change. So when they talk about change, they better talk about this. That's what they're talking about. We're talking about that kind of change. We embarked on this revolution in 2001, and we have maintained it by being prescriptive and keeping people at the center of everything that we do. That's the difference between us. Comrades, we inherited in 2001 a situation where monocrop culture was in tatters. We had to do something. And the leadership of this party decided one of the things that we were going to do was to change the structure of education system in this country. So we dubbed it the education revolution. And in every sector, we made changes. Early childhood, primary, secondary education, post-secondary education, tertiary education, in areas of nursing, teaching, adult and continuing education, technical, vocational and training. A veritable transformation that has been the wind beneath the wings of the aspiration of the majority of Vincentians, both young and not so young.
So when I see the education revolution, this is my government international.
May I remind you that before 2001, education was more a privilege than a right. Only 39% of all primary school children entered a secondary school. We keep saying this, and we will continue to say so. The people who presided over that should be ashamed of themselves. Some of them are coming back. Other people were left to fend for themselves. It was an alien language. Parents pulled strings to get their children into secondary schools, most of them private and costly. The education revolution and universal secondary education changed that and is changing the society as a whole. That's the change we talk about. That's the change we want them to talk about. How people live and what they live for. Early childhood. Comrades, by 2009, there were massive advances in the early childhood education. 9 public early childhood centers were opened in the following areas. Before, we had some little preschools around the place. Remember that? The government had nothing to do with it. Then we had in Owia, Langley Park, Argyle, Marriaqua Government School, Canaan Government, Chumaka, Beckway Anglican, Fairhall Government, Edinburgh. This is all part of the revolution. That is how we revolutionize this thing. And recently, we had 2 opened, one at Greg's and one at South Rivers. And now, this year, we're going to open 3 more. Wishland Park, Bible, Park Hill, and also Canary. That should say 4. Early childhood centers to catch children at an age when we could develop them. The best time in their lives for them to be taught. The government is taking a lead in this. That's revolutionary. That's what we're talking about. This will bring the total number of public early childhood centers to 15. Almost every child of preschool age is now enrolled at a private or government-operated facility. And what is more, we also give a subvention to each early childhood center once they meet the required standards. As a matter of fact, we also rebuilt the YWCA, which includes an early childhood center. And further, the preschools in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the early childhood centers, those private ones, were given COVID support. We have made tremendous strides in our primary schools. In 2001, all schools were repaired at a cost of $5.5 million. A lot of money. We did it last year again. New primary schools were constructed at Sandy Bay, Fairhall, and Beckway. If you go to Beckway now, you see that beautiful structure down there. In Beckway, yes. There was a marked improvement in special education also. A quality new school for children with special needs was built at Georgetown, and the facilities at Kingston were enhanced. We increased the training for all levels of teachers. I'm dealing with primary schools. All levels of teachers. And most principals at the primary level are now university graduates. I said something that we said before, and which we have not said enough of. In 2001, there were only 4 graduate teachers at the primary school level. Now we have close to 500. You talk about revolution. We talk about change. That's what we talk about.
The revolution in education shows you building a new foundation. So let me applaud the ULP.
Comrades and friends, the achievement of universal secondary education in September of 2005 came upon us. A lot of people were surprised. A lot of naysayers said we couldn't do it, but the Prime Minister had a vision. We have done it. But we had to accommodate this bold new move. New secondary schools were opened at Sandy Bay, Connery, West St. George, Richmond Hill, and Bookament. New schools, that secondary schools now were built at Mackey's Hill, Edinburgh, Peter's Hope, Union Island, and Belair. Several other secondary schools were expanded, with some expansions include the provision of library facilities and science labs. Let me just call the names of the schools. Sandy Bay Secondary School. Ever had one before? No. George Stevens Secondary School. West St. George Secondary School. Bookerman Bay Secondary School. Thomas Saunders Secondary School. And here it is, Kanawan Secondary School. We did that in collaboration with the developers on that island. Creative thinking. And at Fair Hall, we have a primary school which has grades 7 to 9 that cater for children with special needs. That's revolutionary.
The revolution in education shows you building a new foundation. So let me applaud the ULP.
Modern secondary schools were constructed to house the students of the following schools. This is addition, Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary, Intermediate High School, Central Windward Secondary School at Peters Hope, Union Island Secondary School. These were new schools. West St. George Secondary at Bel Air. And let me say something more. That we weren't just building schools. We were concerned about what happened in the schools. And if you look at the CSEC results, you will see what I'm talking about. Excellent results over the years, improving over the years. Comrades and friends, the education revolution is not just about the academic. Our flagship is TVET. We recognize that we have to develop market skills among young people to promote greater employment and productivity. The marketplace is calling for special skills that we can't meet at the moment. And we have known this for a while, and we have been doing a lot of work with respect to technical vocational education and training. We have 4 main technical centers: Barrowley, Camden Park, Kingston, and Georgetown. And recently, we've done a lot of work to them. Dozens of persons have come through those doors. A lot of them are at work. Some of them are self-employed, and others even have employed other people. We are in the process of upgrading one at Petty Bodell. Mr. Carlos James has been behind us for a while, saying hurry up with this one, and we are doing some work on that. And soon Petty Bodell will have its own technical institute. Very soon, I've been told. This is in addition to the Division of Technical and Vocational Education and Training at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. And I might add here that come next year, well, come the next term, and there will be a next term. There will be a next term. The Marriaqua Technical Institute will be established in Mesopotamia. Also, our Sector Skills Development Agency is always running skills programs through the adult and continuing education, where scores of young people, marginalized persons, single mothers, etc., persons dropped out of school, etc., they are now into training. We started the ANU, which is funded by the CDB, and we have done plumbing, welding, electrical installation, front office operation, food preparation, food and beverage, etc. You know the whole package. And we have already trained 1,150 people in this. 1,150 young people have been trained. 300 of them have attained full Caribbean vocational qualifications. 300. Full qualification. Very portable. They could go to any country and work in the skills which they chose. Then we have the youth and adult training for employment, YATE. 370 already trained in levels 1 and 2. And then there's one funded by the British government called SKY, that's Skills for Youth Employment. We have already trained 300 people. So we're not just sitting back. We know what is coming, and we're preparing for it. We're training our young people for production, for life, and for living. Tertiary. Before 2001, access to tertiary education for Vincentian was minimal. This too was revolutionized. People grew up thinking that university education was for certain people, not everybody. You could have counted on one hand how many people we had at university at a particular campus. We have said, and the Prime Minister said this over and over again, that we should have one university graduate per household on average. By 2030, it will happen. We are working towards that goal right now. At the University of the West Indies campuses, Cayfield and St. Augustine, we are the second largest number. And at Mona, we come a close third for people who are at the campuses. In addition, we have students all around the world studying in a range of disciplines. As a matter of fact, this morning, 22 of them accepted their scholarships to go to Taiwan. Prime Minister was there. At the Open Campus in Kingston, that's where we do work online, over 735 students are pursuing studies at one level or the other. 601 of them are doing graduate or undergraduate program. This is virtually an education country. Everybody is involved. And you telling me this is not a revolution? A silent revolution it is.
The education revolution is the opportunity.
Just like to say further that we have already approved 250 and counting tuition scholarships for 2020. In other ways, we have been supporting education. We've been putting our money where our mouth is. Over $100 million have been guaranteed by this government for economically disadvantaged loans since 2002. And that is in addition to the regular loans. The regular loans. And the PM did some maths this morning and said since 2001, we have spent over almost $3 billion with a B on education in this country. Our annual expenditure on education is $150 million.
15 years, 15.
We will continue to support education. We will continue to invest in education because the poor people of this country deserve no less. I am fond of saying that once upon a time, when you went to the doctor, you couldn't understand what he was saying. He couldn't understand you either. Nowadays, you go to the doctor, the person who attending to you, you know him, mama, papa. You know where he come from, where he live, what school he went to. It's a revolution. Not just in medicine, in law, in other things. Of course, I will move on because I'm running against time. And let me talk briefly about my beloved constituency, a place called Marriaqua, in the bosom of this country, the heartbeat of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. More than anything else, the geography of Marriaqua defines us. Our topography, our terrain, our drainage system, our location, all contribute to the character of this constituency. It is also what makes us vulnerable. And we experience our fair share of landslides and flooding and threats from rivers, etc. There's always something to be done in that constituency. And since 2015, and even before that, I would say since 2001, something has always been done in Marriaqua. We've been doing so at a feverish pace. Some strangers were passing through Marriaqua some time ago, say they're campaigning. All of them were strangers. Every one of them were strangers. And they say nothing was done in Marriaqua for 22 years. And that was mounted by one of the main strangers. So they missed a lot. And let me just recap some of what they missed. I'll do so quickly. Belmont Ginger Village Road, restored. Greenhouse back at Montreal. Satellite warehouse in Mesopotamia. Zenga Tiviat River Defense and Collins Village. Red Dog Bridge and River Defense. Macmillan Road. Early Childhood Center at Richland Park, ongoing now. Gawley Hill Road, new. Cotton Ground Road, new. Carrier Village Road, going on now. Montreal Road, going on now. Levi Latham Health Complex. Lands for Evesham Park. That is being done now, immediately. Glenside Slope Stabilization. Every single village in Marriaqua has been touched by this government this 4.5 years. And strangers can't see them. I don't understand. The strangers can't see it. We have other things, you know. Richland Park Main Road, Dickey Main Road, Marriaqua Village Road and self-help, etc., etc. A lot of things happening. And we will continue to do more work. We have an intervention in a particular village that we have to do. We have things that we have to do with respect to housing, things to do with respect to feeder roads, etc., which we will do. And I can't talk about everything tonight. There's so much to talk about. But let me just say that I, since I've known myself, have been in the service of the people of this country, particularly in the service of the people of Marriaqua, and I will continue to be in their service. I will continue to be in their service, especially for the next 5 years. This government will continue to be in service to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the next 5 years and beyond that, because we have programs, policies, projects, we have leadership, we have a party, and we have candidates. Thank you very much, and good night, everybody.
Marriaqua want, the people want, push it in the face,
Fire, fire, fire here at this virtual meeting tonight. Yeah, man. Lipton, St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. Yes. Thank you, Comrade Jimmy. You hear ballhead, man? Eh? One of the when I hear the comrades and them rolling out their projects and programs, so boy, I feel a little bit jealous, because if I only start to talk about the programs in the Grenadines, if I start to talk about the infrastructural development that took place in the Grenadines, we're going to be here till morning. But then it's all right, I go leave that for another time. But when you listen to the comrade on education, and I spoke about the education revolution, you know, some years ago, a young man in the Grenadines, a very young man, went to his father, and he said, "Daddy, I get admitted to go to the University of the West Indies, and I apply," and they send me back the letter, and they say, "Oh yes, that I get through." The figure they say for the year is $2,000. And here what is his words? "Boy, where me you get that kind of money from, boy? Me a one poor fisherman. Not in this time, not under this government, not under this administration. Something like that will never happen." Those were the words of a father who wished that he could have done it. He said, "Boy, where me gonna get that kind of money from? Me a one poor fisherman." That's why in 2015, a candidate for the constituency of South Windward could have stand up in Clare Valley and lift his hands up to the sky and declare to all and sundry that in this fishing village, let me tell you something, that the ULP is the change.
SPG higher, NDP after this list, you must retire. We beating them proper.
Anyhow, the next speaker that coming to you, coming from the constituency of West Kingston. You know, a candidate in the 2015 election went to introduce himself to a man in Rose Place who have a shop, a place they used to call the Parliament. Rudy Owl was his name. And he walked to him and stretched his hand over the counter. He said, "My name is Rudy Owl." And Rudy Owl stood back and said, "But Mr. Cummins, I's your neighbor. Welcome, welcome, comrade sister Debbie Charles. Yeah, you go deal with him for me."
Choosing a better way. Well, this one is for the ladies of labor. You got that labor flavor. Labor ladies, choosing a better way, a better way. Lead the way, lead the way, lead the way. ULP ladies, lead the way.
Comrades and friends, labor, comrades and friends, good night.
Yes, good night, good night.
An extra special good night to the wonderful, hard-working men and women and young people of West Kingston. Tonight, I'm not here to remind you of what 17 years of NDP governance did to this country, because many of you do not need to be reminded. I know this. I'm not here to remind you either of how the industrial site at CAMPDEN Park became a ghost town. I know that you are aware of this. Nor am I here to remind you of how ill-prepared the NDP was to meet the challenges of WTA and GATT in the 1990s, and how their gross lack of preparedness caused the banana industry in this country to collapse. I'm not here either to remind you of the so-called flagship project of theirs that was so badly mismanaged that it cost almost $180 million to build, but was only valued at about $20 million when it was finished. Highway robbery, right? I'm not here to remind you, comrade, because I know you are aware of most of these things. And I know that you would be aware that when we came to office, only 40% of our 11-year-olds attended secondary school. And not even 1% of our primary school teachers had a university degree. Comrades and friends of labor, our national weeping and mourning under the NDP lasted through the night. But under labor, joy and progress came with the morning light. Comrades, I'm here to refresh your collective memories about some of the gains we've made and to give some proposals for future development. No government in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has done more to empower the women of this country. Under this government, women have had opportunities to become homeowners thanks to initiatives created by the 100% mortgage program that this government instituted. Every day, comrades, we see more and more women taking advantage of numerous educational opportunities created to bring them empowerment and advancement. There are some females, there are more female permanent secretaries in this country today than there are males. Indeed, there are many more female police officers working in the force today than when Labour came into office. Because of this Labour government too, comrades, young women learn that a pregnancy does not mean the end of their hopes and dreams, because they're able to return to school and to live up to the expectations that their parents would have had for them. Comrades, truly, the lives of many daughters and sisters and mothers and aunts and grandmothers have been lifted higher because of labor. Comrades and friends, I believe it was Nelson Mandela who reminded us that education is the most powerful tool that one can use to change his world. And the ULP has polished and sharpened this weapon for the people of this country. Our young people have the opportunity to develop and enhance their skills, talents, and abilities. But they need to take full advantage of the opportunities that this government have been given to them. Let me pause here and take the time out to thank the principals, the staff, parents, students, and other educational stakeholders for having the courage and heeding the call to return to school this school year. We at the government salute you for your bravery and dedication. Without calling any names, comrades, I will say that there are those in this country today who are willing to sacrifice the education of our children on the altar of their own fares. I am glad that this government did not allow that to happen. We have to be real and honest with ourselves, comrade. And yes, there were challenges, as you would expect when we face new situations that are unexpected. But life hardly brings us a challenge without giving us a silver lining. And in a strange and twisted faith, this global pandemic has afforded our teachers and students to mitigate, innovate, and become more technically adaptable. Comrades, even in this global challenge, we have managed to pave the way for even more students to acquire training in non-academic areas, such as plumbing, cosmetology, electrical engineering, just to name a few. In Camden Park, a modern facility has been handed over to the government and the Ministry of Education. This new wing would allow students to pursue vocational training in welding and mechanical engineering. Because we must never forget that all horses were not made to run alike. And though every student can learn, they may not all learn at the same pace and on the same day. This ULP government understands that.
ULP is better. ULP is better. ULP is better by far.
This government recognizes the plague of climate change. And as a problem, and we must address all levels of our society. That is why we have spent over $2.8 million to upgrade and rehabilitate the Kingston Government School, making it resilient to bad weather conditions and to act as a shelter for members of the community in times of crisis. This ULP government is indeed a caring government and a forward-thinking government with a plan for the people. Now, comrades, let me talk specifically to the people of West Kingston. For too long, comrades, we have labored under the burden of a representative who doesn't know how to represent. Comrades and friends of West Kingston, for too long, you have been saddled with a man with no plan. And it's evident, comrades, he walks about like a crazy man. I'm not sure what he's about because he has no plan for the people of West Kingston. But tonight, comrade, I want you to allow me to offer an alternative. A woman from the bowels of West Kingston. A woman who knows the families of West Kingston. A woman who knows the children of West Kingston. And a woman who has a plan. Comrade, I believe that there are a number of things we can do in the next term, and there will be a next term of ULP governance.
We're voting back ULP. It's better for you and me.
And even with the work that's going on in the constituency now, comrade, I have a few plans I want to lay before you for the next 5 years. A road that connects Great House to Lomans Bay. A link between Spring and the Bonadies property where very soon a hard court would be placed. Create a footpath to connect Great House to Body Gutter. Develop the footpath to allow passage from Maho to Burgin. Construct the road between Gun Hill and Otley Hall. Complete the construction of the Body Gutter Road. Define the Body Gutter path or the Body Gutter stream. Widen the road to Lomans Bay. Develop a road that links Gibson Corner to Daphne through Fenton, creating an alternative gateway into Kingston. Develop a modern sewage treatment plant in Rose Place. Develop a plan to connect the communities of Edinburgh and Montrose to the existing sewer network. Coordinate with central government to relocate the fisher folk from Rose Place to Edinburgh and Lomans Bay. Make footpath linking Grand Gate to Walker Peace more accessible. Upgrade the new Montrose Plain tennis court. Upgrade the playing field in Otley Hall and the Lago Height to include bathrooms and the pavilion. Build a new hard court in Lomans, and I just mentioned that that one would begin pretty soon. Create a national park at Lomans Beach, a national park with beachside facilities at Lomans Beach. Create more green space for recreational facilities across the constituency. Construct a public library and a resource center for constituency use. Craft tailored programs which educate willing constituents to entrepreneurial best practices. Encourage backyard gardening throughout the constituency and give prizes to the best gardens in West Kingston. Open business opportunities by utilizing available factory space at the industrial estate in CAMPDEN Park. Make lands along Lomans Bay available to the residents of West Kingston for business and home ownership. Comrades, I only have this much time with you tonight. But most of you know that I haven't spent the last 5 years hiding in a cave or sulking. I've been working on your behalf every day and sharing my plans and visions with you. I've been on your doorsteps, I've been in your living rooms, and I've sat on your porches. Let me at this time, comrades, remind each of you to make sure that you and your neighbors are registered to vote in the upcoming election. To the warriors of Otley Hall, Edinburgh, Rose Place, Cemetery Hill, New Montrose, Walker Peace, Lago Height, Stony Ground, Old Montrose, Gibson Corner. To the soldiers of Lomans, Spring, Gun Hill, Castle Grant, Burgin, Top Lomans, Cedar Valley, Great House, Maho, Plan, Old Buff, Body Gutter, the Old Flour Mill Road, all of West Kingston. I stand before you, a woman offering myself once again to you in service as the next representative in Parliament. I ask you to accept this offer and vote for Teacher Debbie on election day. Thank you very much, West Kingston. Thank you, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and God bless you.
Show me your voting finger, raise up your voting finger. Show me your voting finger, raise up the voting. All right, me and my neighbor, voting for Labour. Me and my neighbor, voting for Labour. Somebody say whoa.
I like that, me and my neighbor voting for Labour. Vote for somebody who know their neighbor. You hear me?
Voting for Labour.
You must vote for somebody who know the neighbor.
Voting for Labour.
You can't represent people when you don't know your neighbor. It means you're distant and you're far. Comrades, we running the time limit, so I ain't hesitating. I want to call a next one of them fellas like myself who don't carry no hair on their head. None other than the parliamentary representative for the constituency of South Central Windward, and who will be again in 2020. When the comrade ring the bell, Saboto Caesar will be victorious again. Here comes the comrade.
Saboto Caesar. So Central Windward area, hold, keep them on, hold, keep them on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Snag. Comrades all, and I want to greet especially the comrades who are listening from the great bastion of Labour, South Central Windward.
Now we jump and say 5 in a row. 5 in a row.
Comrades who are following at home here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and in the diaspora. Some persons are looking at it on the television, on radio, and streaming online. Tonight is a moment of celebration. It is a moment for reflection, and it is also a moment for preparation. As I sat there and I listened to other comrades before me, I remembered that day when I walked into a polling station for the very first time. I was 20 years old. There were 2 political roads before me, and I had listened attentively to the policies and programs of the Unity Labour Party. I placed my X firmly for the ULP in 2001, in 2005, in 2010, in 2015, and again I will support the 5-star general as we move towards the 5th term. Oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together in unity. For united we shall win the next general elections, and united we shall make the 5th term a reality. Comrades, it is your unwavering support in 2015 that gave us the mandate that brought us to this, our 5th term campaign. We have come far together by faith. Now is the moment to be re-energized, recharged, revitalized in all our efforts to keep this great party in office. Comrades, every single Vincentian of voting age must be a part of this historic moment, a moment which we must cherish. 100 years from now, comrades, Vincentians alive will say, our foreparents made a great choice to give the Unity Labour Party a 5th term.
No matter what it says, Labour on the way.
The ULP is the party of choice. Against the odds, over the last 4 terms, we have diversified the agriculture sector. We have built greenhouse parks, renovated packing houses, completed the designs for a more efficient arrowroot factory, and invested in the science of modern production systems. So much so that today, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we pride ourselves as the breadbasket of the Southern Caribbean, feeding Trinidad and Tobago, feeding Barbados and other islands in the Leeward Islands. This will create hundreds of business opportunities for our people in the 5th term as we deepen the diversification process. Comrades, over the last term, we established a platform for the development of a modern medicinal industry. Already, traditional cannabis cultivators are forging relationships with other local and international investors. Today, licenses have been provided to scores of traditional cultivators and groups, and very soon, this government will make good on its promise to provide lands in Top Hill and Lasham to local licensed marijuana farmers. Today, young persons are already finding gainful employment on high-tech medicinal cannabis farms, and local medical practitioners and many of our brothers and sisters who are alien are excited by the patient access prospects in the industry. In the 5th term, we will build on this platform, not only for cannabis, but the Bureau of Standards will supervise the production of medicine from soursop, moringa, turmeric, ginger, iboga, aloe vera, and other plants. This is a green shoot. We will ensure that no herb or herbalist, no traditional cultivator, no ganja farmer is left behind. This is our dream, our plan, our vision, and we shall prevail. Comrades, over the 4 terms, our fisher folk have benefited from investment opportunities globally, connected by the Argyle International Airport. As a result, we now have the capacity to move more fish and other marine products than ever before in the history of this country. In the 5th term, fisher folk across this country will have greater market opportunities, locally, regionally, and internationally. With the opening of Rainforest Foods and several new hotels, we will need more fish. This again will create hundreds of jobs for our young people. A dolphin prison or a park is not the solution. Comrades, over the last 4 terms, we developed a thriving livestock subsector in this country, where today we are the largest exporter of livestock in the OECS. Thanks to our livestock farmers, our local butchers, and Jude Jack of Grenada. In the 5th term, we will lift the livestock subsector higher. We will build an abattoir, cross new frontiers by importing more resilient breeds, address the vexing issue of predial larceny and the unjustifiable destruction of animals by stray dogs. We will produce more. We will export more, making our production in St. Vincent and the Grenadines a force to be reckoned with, not only in the OECS, but in CARICOM. Selling passports is not the answer.
I'm impressed every day.
In the midst of all our achievements, there will be periods where situations can usher unforeseen setbacks. The COVID-19 pandemic is one such period, but this party understands too well that we must turn our setbacks into opportunities. We are overcomers in the Unity Labour Party. So when our traffickers could not travel to Trinidad and Tobago, and when they could not travel to Barbados because borders were closed, that never stopped St. Vincent and the Grenadines from trading food. We found the answer. When the hotels had less guests and purchased less from our farmers, that did not stop our government from finding other opportunities for farmers to sell the produce. We found the answer, and it wasn't a toll on the top of Zion Hill. Today, comrades, the Love Box program has already distributed 15,000 parcels of food to the vulnerable across this country. Created an internal market for farmers, paid excellent prices, employed persons, and has introduced a special love box for diabetics. And in a week, we will begin the distribution of some 25,000 love boxes of our root starch. Comrades and friends, the Love Box program is now seen as a best practice in the hemisphere. The Caja de Amor, or Box of Love, has found its way into the literature of the FAO and into Latin America.
So comrade, if you ask me, you handle the pandemic well. Yes.
I am happy to announce that yesterday, sample of boxes was sent via air to the British Virgin Islands for sale. A sailor from South Rivers is using it as a brand to bring a market opportunity for our farmers and traders right in this country.
Oh, breaking news! Breaking news!
The 5 buying depots across this country will also from next week be used for traders to meet traffickers. They will settle prices and payment terms and sign contracts between themselves. We must repair the broken relationships existing between our farmers and traffickers. Comrades, when cheaper fertilizer was needed to boost production, COVID-19 did not stop this government from offering the fertilizer at half price. Again, we found the answer. As of today, over 15,000 sacks of fertilizer have been sold at half price, and more fertilizer will be coming at half price to assist our farmers. Comrades, COVID-19 attacked on the heels of the worst drought experienced in 50 years. Every ounce of support possible must be provided to our farmers. The ULP again has the answer. Nothing will stop one of the largest payouts to farmers this decade, where in a matter of days, between 4,000 to 5,000 farmers will each receive $500 as a first payment to help cope with some of the income shortfalls. What a government, what a party, what a response to a disaster. The ULP will continue to prevail. And comrades, we have a history of prevailing. The experience with the ULP, as the songwriter says, our anchor holds, though the ship of state may from time to time be battered. Our anchor holds, though the sails sometimes may be torn. What is for sure is that we will always remember to fall on our knees as we face the raging seas. The anchor holds, and the anchor will hold as we go into the next election. Let us remember, comrades, that in 2001, when 9/11 terrorist attack shook the geopolitics of the world, the ULP lifted SVG higher and we prevailed. Let us remember that in 2003, when SARS created a scare, shaking tourism sectors in small island developing states in the Caribbean, the ULP lifted SVG and we prevailed.
Lift SVG higher.
Let us not forget, in 2008, the global financial downturn and the collapse of Wall Street. The global economy went helter-skelter. The ULP, Comrade Ralph and his government, our party, and you, the working people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, lifted St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher, and we prevailed.
Lift SVG higher.
Let us remember, comrades and friends, in 2010, Hurricane Thomas, we lost 98% of our banana industry. Houses were destroyed around this country, infrastructure damaged. Your government worked to lift St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher, and we prevailed. In 2012, it was Black Sigatoka, then the Christmas floods, and more floods, and it brings us to the year of the pandemic. 2020, the coronavirus pandemic, and the worst drought in 50 years. Over the last 4 terms, we have suffered Job-like afflictions. But like Job, we will continue to say, my righteousness I hold fast, and I will not let it go. You must give the ULP the opportunity to continue to lift SVG higher so that we can continue to prevail.
If you ask me, you handle the pandemic well. Yes, comrade, ask anybody.
For love for the working people in SVG is immeasurable. If you seek knowledge, there is the education revolution. If you seek a house, shelter is provided, whether it is the low, middle, or no income housing program. No other government has assisted with more building material in any single decade in our history more than the Unity Labour Party. If you are in need of food security, the Zero Hunger Trust Fund will provide. If you are seeking seed funds as a young person, as a businessman, to start up, the Prime program is there to support you. If you are a farmer or a fisherman wanting to invest, you have the Farmer Support Company. If in need of apprenticeship, there is the Yes and Set programs. The pandemic may slow us down, but it shall not stop us. Life and living has continued and will continue in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When you drive through South Central Windward today, you see a multi-purpose hard court in Sanssouci, which will be open in a matter of days. You see preparatory work to repair sporting facilities at Lauders, in Diamonds and Mount Grenan. They've already started. Road repair works continue in Diamonds and will soon move to New Adelphi, to Lomans, to Greg's and Mount Grenan. The designs for Lively Road, they are completed. The New Ground School was completely renovated and fenced over the August vacation, and the BNTF will hand over this project next week. Antibi Preschool in Diamond Village is being addressed and is expected to be completed within a month. The largest city fence work to ever take place in South Central Windward is taking place right now at Drop-Off in Sanssouci. Lauders is now a major buying center for food to be distributed locally and for export. The recently completed river defense in Lauders has started to offer protection to scores of families who hitherto were affected by flood waters whenever there was heavy rain. The ULP anchor is holding, comrades, through the storms and raging seas created by the COVID-19 pandemic. History will record Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP as the great providers. With God's help, we will continue to lift SVG higher. Comrades, continue to trust in the Unity Labour Party. Vote for the ULP. Give us your continued support. Remember, Ralph and the ULP any day, never Friday. Long live the Unity Labour Party. And I ask you for your support in South Central Windward whenever the elections are called. Victory is ours. Let us own the 5th term.
Cause that's all I need. It's the choice, it's clear to see. I'm voting ULP.
Thank you, M&M. A spellbound. I am normally not short of words, but sometimes you get spellbound. Comrades, I ain't keeping you long. No delay. Because the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, those of you at home and those of you out in the diaspora, I know that you're waiting. So I ain't keeping you waiting long. I will introduce to you tonight the leader, the general, the 5-star general. According to them, you're the world boss. To come and address the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Comrade Ralph, blessed love.
The ULP team, we are gonna beat them back. What? Them are gonna get 5 in a row. What?
My background.
Tell Friday.
My background.
Tell them what you say.
My background. But I tell you this, I'm an ancient warrior. My background.
Tell Major.
My background.
Go across the border.
My background. I'm a hard man for them.
Them a ball outside the half stump.
Wait.
And way too far down the left side.
Wide.
If you ask.
What the NDP is interested in is commerce and melee. You could lick me up, you knock me down. I get up back. I'm a hard man for them.
After this, them dead. Dead. After this, them dead. Them dead. After this, them dead. When the bell ring, the whole of them dead. Dead. After this, them dead. Dead. After this, them dead. Them dead. After this, them dead. Yo! Them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go beat them back. What? The 5-star general of this thing locks up an election. We are voting back. Them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go beat them back.
Comrades and friends of Labour, my beloved people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines at home and abroad, those who are listening in the hospitals and places of care, and the elderly who are in their bedrooms, the children and the young ones who are in the living rooms, or outside, on the veranda, or in the yard, listening to this meeting. I greet you with love. I greet you with a love which is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. 2 weeks or so ago, Luther delivered to us a masterpiece in lyrics and music entitled Ring the Bell, let we send them home.
Ring the bell, let we send them home. Comrade, ring the bell, let we send them home. Oh, ring the bell, let we send them home. Julian, ring the bell, let we send them home. Now we jump and say 5 in a row, 5 in a row, 5 in a row. They want to know how people of comrades, so 5 in a row, 5 in a row, 5 in a row.
Since then, the members and supporters of this great party, the Unity Labour Party, have been clamoring for me to ring the bell, to declare the election date, and to ramp home in victory 5 in a row. In response, I have said to our people, on your marks. I will shortly advise our comrades, our supporters, the Labour family, to get set. And when I give that advice, I will request of you to await patiently, soberly and wisely, for the bell ringing injunction to go to the polls. Please do not hurry me yet. I am asking something instead of the Labour family. Be fully prepared. Be fully prepared. As the son of a farmer, as a man who raised cattle and goat myself, as a man who represents a farming community, it ain't long rope that does hang cattle. It's short rope. And the short rope would appear not too long from now. But before I bring out and get ready with the short rope to hang the metaphoric NDP cattle, I am asking the Labour family to be fully prepared. I don't want to hear, now that you are on your marks, I don't want to hear any grumbling about this or that. If in the family of Labour there are issues to be dealt with, and there are always issues to be dealt with, let us get over the democratic imperative of the election. We have a fine record, a splendid record. We act in your interest always. You have trusted us, and you can continue to trust us. So I don't want to hear any grumble. I want you, everyone in the Labour family, young and old, and those in between, to put your shoulder to the wheel and let us deliver a historic licking to these backward people who comprise the leadership of the New Democratic Party.
Voting for Labour. Me and my neighbor. Voting for Labour. Show me your voting finger.
Instead of expressing a frustration about this or that, I want you to do instead, count our blessings. Count your blessings. Because there are many. Because the Labour blessings have touched every single household in this country. The Labour sunshine has been on every household. Labour and NDP and no P. I want us to count our blessings. Count your blessings one by one. And see what Labour under God's guidance has done for you. For all of us. For our nation.
ULP, safe for always. That's the way it should be.
If you think that you have any challenge now in government, try opposition. The comrade ain't, if you don't do this thing properly, Labour family, the comrade ain't going to be in that office, you know. So that when you have a problem, you ain't going to be able to call me there to solve it, you know. You ain't going to be able to do something which you can do, the only prime minister in the entire world that you could turn up any hour of any day without appointment and say you want to see the comrade. If it's Friday, you got the man them from mainland China and from Switzerland who buying the passport then. And you have to pass through accountants and those who doing financial dealings. And in between, the people who are afraid of us bringing back way. You hear me? And because he wants to drive with a learner's permit, you have got Mitchell there. He had to got, yes, he had to got Leacock there. He got Cummins there. He got Kebakas. You think Kebakas choreographing them for dance? For sport? Yeah? You hear me? I just want to tell you what will happen, you know. And then you will have some people who just want to go on the gravy train. When I send it on by lotto to help with things for your children. It's Key Joseph down there, you know. You hear me? And when I call up Vinlek, no. It's doggy the freightas you're going to get, you know. Yeah? And those of you who know Susan Duggan from country and from Calico and all about, they intend to move she, you know, as Governor General and put a retired priest. I want the Labour family. I want you to hear it, you know. I'm giving you chapter and verse.
If you only go and vote, then believe me, man, you don't care.
So, I'm taking my time and I'm advising you to register to vote. Don't mind if they come like Exeter and want to come in and observe. Don't let them frustrate you. Exeter guy ain't got a right to be there. Tebaka ain't got any right to be in any registration center to observe anything. She doesn't have any locus standi because she ain't no candidate. All she's a lady hoping to be a candidate because she ain't nominated yet. You overs where I'm coming from. Don't get frustrated. Go and register to vote.
Come out and vote. Come out and vote. Come out and vote. Don't keep the red ship afloat.
And I don't want to hear any Rastafarian brethren or sisterin say that Rastafari do amalgamate with politics. Whether you belong to the ancient churchical order of Nyabingi or you belong to 12 tribe, listen to the words in the book of Chronicles about the prophet, the leader, of one of the tribes of Israel, original tribes, Issachar. You must know the times and you must act accordingly. And after you register, you have to be mobilized and organized to vote for the ULP within your own interests and for love of country. Because what Labour has done, no other political party anywhere in the Caribbean over any period since universal adult suffrage has done what the Unity Labour Party has done to make progress for all the people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We voting with vengeance this time, political vengeance this time. We voting with vengeance.
So I want you to do all of that and more for the family of Labour, for yourself. And as I tarry in hopeful expectation for an answer to my solemn plea, speak, Lord, your servant Ralph is listening. I see the stars. I hear the rolling thunder. As I proclaim how great thou art, let us together lift St. Vincent and Grenadines higher. On August the 18th, I address you at the ULP's first virtual public meeting. In my speech, I traversed summarily the journey of Comrade Ralph from humble beginnings in Connery to the office of Prime Minister. I stress to you that leadership matters, and I stress it again. I am not running to be leader of the Roman Catholic Church. I am running to be Pope. I am not running to be the Archbishop of Canterbury. I am running to be Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So don't take me on any sideshows. Let us keep our views focused on the main event. So leadership matters. And as Sabi pointed out, when the waves get rough, and they have been rough, and they are currently rough, and they will get rougher for a small island developing state. And as the billows roll, you need a captain who is tried and tested. You need a captain with a plan. You don't need one who requires Son Mitchell to be next to him. Or Bakas. Or Leacock, and God forbid, Daniel Cummins. No. You have to be there in these times. It's not a time for an apprentice seaman. It's for a mature captain. And you have to know that the anchor holds. And you have to have a 5-star general to take you through the rough waters.
No, 5-star general, come ready, 5-star general. 5-star general, come ready, 5-star general. 5-star general, come ready.
In our last virtual meeting, I explored with you 10 foundational elements of the ULP. inclusive of our vision, our philosophy, our economic approach, our economic quest, the central economic outcomes, good governance, the sustainable development goals, our Caribbean civilization, mature regionalism, and an efficacious foreign policy. All these things form the basis for our policies and programs, so that we go forward with crystal clarity and in unity as we have done since 2001. I outlined also last time 7 of the most egregious follies of the opposition, NDP. I sketched for you the last time our impressive record of performance over the last 19 and a half years. And you heard about it again here tonight in detail from the various speakers. And I also elaborated then a bundle of large strategic policies and programs for the immediate future and the medium term, as our comrades did also here tonight. And finally, the last time I urged everyone, and I urge you again tonight, I repeat the urging, to vote the ULP so as to lift SVG higher. If the Labour family goes out to vote, and the ULP young people go out to vote, you register and you go out to vote, the NDP will be badly defeated.
Come out and vote. Come out and vote. Come out and vote. Don't keep the red ship afloat.
This is naturally Labour country. We have made it so over the last 22 years. Only we can defeat ourselves. That is why I say to you, we do everything together. You're on your marks, no distractions, central focus, victory at the polls in accordance with our policies. Tonight, I will retrace some of my reflections about four or so weeks ago. But I shall do more in advancing the case, the unanswerable case for the ULP's election to a 5th consecutive term in office. Nowhere at all that anybody can come objectively and rebut or answer the case that we make for re-election. We have a splendid record. We have excellent candidates. We have fantastic policies and programs. We have the history, the experience, the leadership. And we are in communion with the people. We know them, we know you, and you know us. Our strengths and our weaknesses, our possibilities and our limitations. I shall build upon what the 4 excellent speeches delivered here tonight by my dear comrades, the humble African, Frederick Augusta Stevenson, Jimmy Prince, Debbie Charles, and Sabi. And of course, the inspiring interventions of our chairman, Comrade Edwin Snag. I want those who are at home, wherever you are, who are listening or viewing, I want at this outset to emphasize that at first here, the accomplishment and consolidation which we are currently broadening and deepening our strategic mission. And that strategic mission has been the transformation of a vulnerable, colonial, monocrop economy and society, its people mired substantially in indigence and undernourishment, with a low level of living and very limited educational opportunities, to transform that which we met in 2001 into a more resilient, modern, competitive, many-sided post-colonial economy of highly improved standards of life and living, featuring, among other things, education, training, science, and technology as central to the production apparatuses in the age of modern globalization. This is a strategic mission. This has nothing to do with opportunistic, tactical maneuvers of selling passport and selling citizenship. Our sacraments of nationhood, they want to sell them and bring criminals and vagabonds to this land. And for their hangers-on, some lawyers and some accountants and some other intermediaries go into the trough. That's what they want to do. Just like when you have bohag and sow lining up with half-boiled breadfruit and banana and grindy and dashing and fighting. That's why it's ahead, you know. I call it, notice what I'm talking about. First, our strategic mission, which we have largely accomplished in making this economic and social transformation. That was the discussion here tonight with everybody who spoke. And it's there before everybody's eyes. You can see it, what they're offering as an alternative is a mirage. Mirage is for carnival. This opportunistic tactical maneuver which they are linking to abandoning Taiwan because some mainland Chinese with a firm in Hong Kong and some Europeans with a firm in Switzerland want to purchase the sacraments of our nation. In the same way that communion initiated at the Lord's Supper is a spiritual sacrament, our citizenship and our passports are sacraments of nationhood, and they are not commodities for sale. We have to understand how this transformation has come about. what existed for over 200 years from the time Britain's colonial occupation of this country started in 1763 to the late 1990s. The economy and society in our country, they were dominated at different times by one major agricultural crop or another: sugar, cotton, arrowroot, or bananas. And each of those crops in their dominance over that 200 plus years was supported by colonial trade preferences in the marketplace externally and or by subsidies internally. What it took to upend that colonial economy which has existed in one way or the other from 1763 to the late 1990s was Britain's entry into the European single market in 1993, which entry heralded first the diminution and then the cessation of the trade preferences for bananas. So by 2001, for all practical purposes, the banana industry was on its knees. Cheaper bananas from elsewhere in the British market occasioned the demise of the banana industry in Jamaica and the Windward Islands, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In 1992, this country exported 80,000 tons of bananas approximately at a value of $120 million. By 2000, the year 2000, exports to Britain had fallen to under 20,000 tons at a total value of under 20 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. As the trade preferences declined, so too the exports to the United Kingdom, until there were practically no banana exports in the open, competitive market. I saw this very early, you know. Snaggy, in 1989, I wrote a pamphlet entitled Banana in Trouble, Its Past, Its Present, and Its Future. James Mitchell here and John Compton in St. Lucia say I was a prophet of doom and gloom. They say that the British had given them assurances that everything would be all right in the morning. My riposte to them was, are those assurances bankable? Nobody ever answered. The comrade proved to be right. The transformation of the economy and society from one dominated by bananas with trade preferences to a more competitive, diversified one in which tourism and other services had a central place required at least 5 bundles of investment to effect the initial push towards transformation. The first, we had to have an education revolution. You can't have a new economy and you can't have a post-colonial economy of diversified products, including services and tourism being one of the central ones, without you have an education revolution. Secondly, you had to have a many-sided war on poverty, as the humble African pointed out. Thirdly, You had to build a bridge over the Marriaqua River. You know why that was important? A significant part of our country was effectively cut off from the rest. And if you had to modernize and make the economy competitive, and you have to integrate the society in its transformation, you have to bring everybody together. Then you had to build a jet airport in Canawan because of the importance of tourism in the southern part of the Grenadines. Also in the northern, but very much you needed a jet airport there. And you needed an international airport on St. Vincent. Those are the 5 things you had to start with.
I salute you. You're my hero, my role model.
And I want the youngsters to bear with me, because sometimes when they see this transformation in the economy and the society, they come and they meet it and they take it for granted. But the NDP was not capable of conceptualizing and delivering on any of them. When Mitchell wrote in his book that his major regret, or one of his major regrets, was not to have airport development on St. Vincent, what he's basically saying, he did not prioritize the transformation of the economy and the society from a colonial one to a post-colonial one. You know why? He has his head so stuffed high up under colonialism and the Queen and the British system. That's why in the last referendum, he led the fight to keep the Queen. I don't have anything against the Queen personally. But what a thing Barbados, Little England, going ahead of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The land of Chateaubriand and Du Valley. Instead of conceptualizing, identifying and implementing at least those 5 major transformative initiatives, I'll repeat them. The education revolution, the Marriaqua Bridge, the war on poverty, the jet airport in Canawan, and the Argyle International Airport. And in each of them, once you did each of them, other things followed in their train. But you know what they did? And I hear Mitchell saying that now that the man who lose 4 times, Eustace, is out, he's in. Well, come in. Come in now, come in. Come in. You have a lot of questions to answer about Lee Hall. You have a lot of questions to answer about what happened with the Union Island project, with the same ruler and Valdataro. You got plenty of things to answer, you know. Come in if you want. I don't know if the NDP is so desperate to bring him back. For him to be backseat driving or tutoring Friday. Come back.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Vincent Chan said the NDP they're going to refuse. Oh, breaking news.
Instead of doing any of those things, what did the NDP do? They said we must have offshore financial services. Well, the offshore financial services They didn't even read the ball game. They brought it back in such a manner and gave it not confidentiality but secrecy, that by the year 2000, they were put on an FATF blacklist and other blacklists, lost corresponding banking relations with the Bank of America, with the National Commercial Bank in December 2000, threatening to turn the National Commercial Bank without corresponding banking relation into a penny bank. The pincer movement of the Americans and the Europeans, orchestrating with their own self-interest, harmful tax regimes, they say, money laundering, the issue of terrorism, of financing. And they brought this thing to a crushing halt. Again, not well thought out, flim-flam, quick buck, hapsy-scrapsy. And then, comrades, they are people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is the same kind of thinking about selling the sacraments of nationhood, the passport and the citizenship, which will get us in the same problem, except for some middlemen making some quick buck. And the odd man who may have some shares in an island which is not yet inhabited, to parcel it up as part of citizenship by investment, selling passport. After we work so hard to bring the passport, that beautiful passport which we have, which is so highly respected all over the world.
All who destroying for personal gains, causing this country so much grief and pain.
I tell the young people, I tell all persons in this country, history repeats itself. First, as tragedy, with the secrecy arrangements for offshore finance. Repeats itself first as tragedy, and then now, with selling the sacraments of nationhood. That's the plan. Repeats itself as farce, F-A-R-C-E. Nothing good sustainably can come to the country. You can reject what I say, and you will pay for it. You hear me? So when the ULP was elected to office in March 2001, we set about effecting the transformation, which, as I've said, is still unfolding and consolidating. And we have been doing so, effecting the transformation in a most challenging external environment of deleterious climate change, health pandemics, amidst the turbulence and contradictions in the global economy of monopoly capitalism and the marginalization of small island developing states from the design of the global political economy. Sabi gave a chapter and verse on that. He gave you the details, I'm giving you the conceptual frame. You see how labor does its work? I don't have to compare those notes with Sabi, you know. I don't have to compare them with Debbie, or the humble African, or Jimmy, because we sing from the same song sheet. The investments required to initiate the transformation of the economy were and are huge. The Canwanjat Airport required nearly $60 million to build. The Argyle International Airport took $750 million to construct. The funding of the ongoing education revolution in the recurrent and capital budgets of the government for the last 20 years thus far costs in excess of $3 billion, or an average of some $150 million a year. And the war on poverty, excluding education, cost billions of dollars since 2001 in the initiatives of social protection, health, housing and lands, national disaster preparedness, physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, ports, sea defense, river defense, water, electricity, telecommunications, citizen security and good governance, targeted strategic interventions in job creation, mentioned set and yes, production supports in agriculture, fisheries, tourism, sports and culture. And the Marriaqua Bridge was creatively done for $10 million. All of those things where we set about to transform, they criticize. And let us remind everybody, old and young, because I tell you this, you know, the reminders, particularly in the age of social media, is very important. Moses didn't have social media, and he had a problem reminding too. Because he took the people out of Egyptian slavery and captivity. He walked them across the Red Sea. We know this story well in the book of Exodus. He arrived below Mount Sinai. And he went up to the top. It took longer than he should have, that he himself expected. But these things happen. And he's up there so long, according to them. Remember, you know, he bring them out from Egyptian slavery and captivity. Through the Red Sea. Instructed to go to Mount Sinai. Because the God of the valley is the God of the mountain. He went up, and while he's up there, it took a little while, and his Hebrew people were grumbling. You hear me? Why he stay so long up there? Why he stay so long up there? The old man, he losing it a little bit. As he walk up there with his stick, he looking as though he's a little bit shaky. Yes. A fella don't, little opportunistic, tactical maneuver. He said, give me your earrings and your necklaces. Lewi, give me the sacraments of your being. All the little things you leave Egypt with. And they constructed a golden calf, which is a mirage, because that can't take you nowhere to the promised land. We're going with that. Ain't taking you nowhere. And when you read the book of Deuteronomy, and you read especially chapter 11, and you read several of the verses, and particular 5 to 7, where it is recounted. And you know what he told them? He said, I want you to tell your children what we did, what this was like. And telling them, I don't want you to tell them what you hear. I don't want you to tell them what to hear. I want you to tell them what you see. You hear me? You hearing me? The evangelist will say, let me hear you say amen now. Let me hear you say amen. In this situation, don't tell me about any golden calf of passport and citizenship selling. No. We have to do it the proper way. We have to do it the sustainable way. The way that we have made it, not with any flim-flam, not with any hopscotch, not with any mirage, not with a carnival band. No. At every turn, the NDP oppose our efforts at transformation. On the Canawan Jet Airport, they said, and Mitchell himself told me on the telephone, he said, Ralph, if I were you, I wouldn't invest the 50-something million there. I would let the developers do it themselves. But the NDP didn't get the vision. We borrowed that money and we paid it off very quickly because of that jet airport, over 750 million US dollars, or over 2 billion EC dollars up to 2018 poured into Canawan. For the benefit of the people of Canawan and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On the Argyle International Airport, which cost 750 million. But at the moment, we owe less than 275 million on it, you know. EC dollars, given the extent of grants, soft loans, and debt forgiveness. The NDP said it could never happen. Used to say, get the money from where? And then when we were doing it successfully, they sought to sabotage us at every turn, including Friday himself. And some of them even wished that a tsunami would wash it away. On the education revolution, the NDP formally opposed us in Parliament on it. Denounced our initiative on universal access to secondary education as a dilution of quality education. They say we're watering down the grammar school and high school, when in fact the education revolution and universal secondary education lift them up. Comrade Curtis King was headmaster of the grammar school could tell you the quality of his school and with the intake from persons of all walks of life.
Right now my country making progress, which means the leader is very blessed, who behaving like the power possessed.
They then said,
I believe they want to feather their nest.
They then said, imagine they said in Parliament that the ULP was unbalancing the budget and the country by spending too much on education, including college and university education. On our direct targeted interventions regarding poverty reduction, the NDP said that we were spoiling poor people. They say that poor people are poor because they're lazy. You hear me? They say they're worthless. And we stood up. They say we're giving too many handouts, and we stood up to continue to help the poor and the children. They said that the increase in the number of recipients on public assistance and the increase in the amounts paid to each recipient was wrong-headed and counterproductive. The NDP apparently behave as though they prefer old people to suffer, poor people to suffer, and for them to suffer evermore. Incredibly, the NDP opposed in Parliament the bill to set up the Zero Hunger Trust Fund. And the NDP used to pay periodic visits every time rain come down plenty in the mountain, wishing that Marriaqua bridge will wash away during and after its construction. The NDP opposed to our 100% home mortgages to the public servants. They say we'll bust the bank. Right now, since that program was introduced, the National Commercial Bank has given $75 million in loans. And hear me this, the loan portfolio, the mortgage portfolio with the least delinquency is the 100% mortgages.
Is commerce and merely. You could lick me up, you knock me down. I get up back. I'm a hard man for dead.
After this, them dead.
They oppose the modern medical diagnostic complex at Georgetown. They oppose the Ecuadorian Army Corps of Engineers coming here to construct for us 4 of the bridges which were destroyed after the Christmas Eve flood disaster in 2013, including the impressive Hope Bridge. They opposed us in our campaign for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. They have opposed us on our demand for reparations for native genocide and the enslavement of Africans. They have opposed us on demanding that the former Guyana government ensure that the votes in the Guyana general elections must be fully and properly counted. And they opposed us on our excellent handling of COVID and its 4 interlocking dimensions of health, the economy, the society, and security. They have opposed us on everything. Everything that is good that we have sought to do for our people and our country. And they have advanced no compelling developmental narrative. Only the opportunistic and unsustainable idea of selling our sacred patrimony, passports and citizenship for a mess of pottage in alliance with some greedy, disreputable Europeans and some criminal hustlers from mainland China. And then they have maligned and conspired against me. In tandem with other anti-national elements and self-serving foreigners and alien entities. They have lied about me, twisted facts to suit their own nefarious purposes, hypocritically assailed me on this or that matter. They have wished the worst for me and my family, and many of them, even some of them whom I went out of my way and helped them, have engendered a hatred against me daily, relentlessly, non-stop. But my back is broad. My back broad.
Tell Friday.
I'm an ancient warrior.
My back broad. But I tell you this, I'm an ancient
I'm a
warrior.
hard man for them.
My back broad. I'm a hard man for them. Them a ball. My back broad. Tell Friday. My back broad. Tell them what you say. My back broad. But I tell you this, I'm an ancient warrior. My back broad. Tell Major. My back broad. Come across the border. My back broad. I'm a hard man for them. Them a ball outside the house.
Nothing that they can say and do will turn the minds of the vast majority of Vincentians at home and abroad against me. Those who view me favorably, who extol my strengths and possibilities, even amidst my limitations and weaknesses, far exceed the haters and their fellow travelers who have an unfavorable view of me. I will again lead the ULP to victory for a 5th consecutive term. 5 in a row. This man, born with a rebel seed, gifted by God, and who is now a wise and mature rebel against injustice and backwardness, will again lead Labour in triumph. You know, when you look at the record, the Human Development Index for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are assessed as possessing a high level of human development. The economy of this country has increased nominally from $800 million. The GDP, gross domestic product, in 2000, to 2.2 billion in 2019. The average per capita gross domestic product, average per head of population, increased from around $8,000 in 2000 to over $20,000 in 2019. In 2001, according to the census, 35,588 persons were employed. In 2012, 40,821 were employed, 14.7% more than in 2001. And bear in mind that the total population in that period only increased by 969 persons. We still have a big unemployment problem. But in the transformation of the economy and what we have put down, we have increased the number of people working, and we have a platform strategically in this transformation process to get more people working. Were it not for COVID this year, you would have seen already the lift-off in the construction jobs, for instance, in the hotel sector and some of the other capital projects. You know, if you want to look at the NIS, in the year 2000, there were 30,385 active contributors. In 2019, 42,406. These are people who working and paying NIS, you know. Active. So when they're talking, I'm not talking about any abstract survey, you know. I'm talking about real numbers, you know.
Yes, exactly.
In this very transformation, in 2001, they left a budget for us with recurrent spending for $305 million. This year, our recurrent budget is $875 million. 187% more than when they left it for us. And every time, every year, they say it's the end of the government. And for 20 years, they're predicting collapse, and it ain't happened yet. The last year of NDP governance in 2000, they spent $35 million on the capital budget. Last year, we spent, the preliminary numbers I saw, Camilo may have the later numbers, was $150 million last year in capital spending. The humble African has spoken about poverty and indigence. I don't have to traverse that territory. In 2001, there were 30,558 households, actual houses in the country. In 2012, there was 36,829, 6,241 more. Listen, in housing in this country, over $1.5 billion has been spent in the last 19 years in the public and private sectors on housing. And right now, you have approximately 43,000 houses in this country. Watch all over the country and you see it. As Moses advised those who came out of captivity, don't listen. Use your eyes. Use your eyes. The NIS performance has been exceptional. And I have the data. Don't have the time tonight. Vinlec, 70% of the people had electricity. And the houses were then less. There are now 46,000 accounts in Vinlec, you know. It was 30,000 when we came to office. Do you know that we invested in, through Vinlec, $358 million in capital programs over the last 19 years? Including what happened down at Lomans. And the data is there. CWSA, water. In the case of water, the Windward Water Project added 30%. And since then, that was a $23 million project. Since then, we invested another $28 million in water storage. And God just sent the figures for me from CWSA, adding an additional 30% in water supply, meaning that we have now, when it was under 70% in 2001, is 98% plus now for water. The comrade spoke about COVID-19, but I have to remind everybody this. The NDP, they failed the leadership test on COVID. That is recent. You don't have to go far with that. Everything they said they wrong, so much so, they ain't saying one thing about COVID now. They're afraid to talk about COVID like how John be afraid of holy water. Because they realize they're polling it, you know. They're calling people and asking questions, and the answers they get in, they ain't like them. They didn't want school to open for the whole year. Lock it down tight, tight, tight like a drum. Chinese draconian measures, state of emergency. Leacock said, and everybody agreed with him in the NDP, by the end of May, 50,000 people plus would have COVID in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and over 2,000 would be dead. From St. Vincent, in the whole of St. Vincent, persons in St. Vincent, I ain't talking about who come in, of the 64 who have it, who got it, only 4 locally. Everybody else gone for overseas. Nobody gets sick to go to hospital. We built a fantastic isolation center. Quebecers, the great architect, said what kind of thing they have there. Israel Bruce on Friday say, lockdown, Greg's, community spread, false alarm. I don't know. Well, Friday ain't know the country. Because Friday don't know. The man would walk to the back of Greg's. You need a whole police force to do that. And when you go to the back of Greg's, if you turn left, you could come down for a month. If you go right, you go Canary Mountain and come over south of us. I know man from Greg's. Does go mountain in Greg's and come over around 1 o'clock to eat lunch by the woman in south of us. If you know the country and the people, how are you going to lead? And all of COVID, they got wrong. They got it wrong. A failure of leadership. You know, in the various constituencies, and I come back to where I started before I finish. Friday can't even, so weak, he can't even get the selection of a candidate properly in MESPO. I hear my friend Bernard Wiley. He going about, he say he going somewhere, go look for somebody. When he reached there, the woman say, but the fellow who used to support you, who you come for, you know he dead. You hear me? You know? There is not one seat which we have, the 8th, that we could lose. I could tell you that. And I've seen the progress in North Leeward, in South Leeward, in East Kingston, and I've been in those 3 constituencies. And I tell you, once we move like that, Central and West Kingston in play.
Highly rate, ULP highly rate, 5-star, 5-star, highly rate, ULP highly rate.
I want to say to the people this. If you look at how angry the NDP candidates are, angry. When you're angry, you stir up dissension. You can't have love in you. The way those fellas behave, and ladies, the way they behave, is like they don't mind that St. Vincent like the ashes. And they will be king and queens of the ashes. They want to pull down every single thing in this country. I ask the Labour family to stay firm. Stay firm. forget this, forget that. You know that we have done well for the country, and we have taken it through some rough periods. Hold it on the path to progress. What is beginning to happen? We see children of persons who are beneficiaries of the education revolution now benefiting. A raccoon trap coming by. I saw it today with those who got scholarships going to Taiwan. On Friday, I want to say to the Labour family, I go to Boston to Eloise will see the doctors. I hope to be back within a week, and then I have to do quarantine. But I will do my work from the hotel and from the residence. You hear me? And wherever I am, I will be in touch. So you're running a virtual campaign on the ground. I have to run a virtual one. Not with you, but away from you for one reason or another. But the time will come when we will be back in harness together.
It's commerce and melee.
We have the candidates. We have the vision, the policies, the programs. We have the organization. We have the leadership. And we have the tradition of winning. And for all those who want to throw stones at me, my back broad.
My back broad. Tell Friday. My back broad. Tell them what you say.
I am an ancient warrior.
And I tell you this, I'm an ancient warrior. My back broad. Tell
and
me.
you can lick me up, knock me down.
My back broad.
I'm a hard man for that. And I'm a hard man for that. I was born with a rebel seed. I am now a wise and mature rebel against injustice and backwardness. Lift up Fiji higher. 5 in a row. And we're going to win it bigger than ever. Thank you very much and God bless you.
They want to know how people have come and so 5 in a row. 5 in a row. 5 in a row. Oh, breaking news. Breaking news. Vincent Chan said the NDP they're going to...
Thank you, political leader. People of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, those who are viewing, those who are listening, we want to thank you for your participation by whatever means you would have chosen. We look forward to continuing the service to the people of this great country. And we want a complete hand. We don't want to bend our fingers. We don't want to make it look uneven. So we open a whole hand and we give you a whole hand. I want to see a whole hand. All right, a whole hand. 5 in a row. Yes. Somebody tell me I have some minutes left. So before we go and before we take our departure, we thank God for the privilege that we have been able to pass the message on to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We expect that persons will go to the polls and in their wisdom return the Unity Labour Party once again to lead the ship of state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. May the saving grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, may the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with us all. Thank you. Do have a pleasant night, and God bless.
What the NDP is interested in is commerce and melee. You could lick me up, you knock me down, and get up back. I'm a hard man for that.
After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. When the bell ring, the whole of them dead, dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. Yo, them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go beat them back. What? The 5-star general out this thing locks up an election. We a go him back. Them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go beat them back. What? The 5-star general is still exposed when the bell ring. Locks up an election, we are voting back. Come where they go beat them back. What? Them a go get 5 in a row. What? The 5-star general is still exposed when the bell ring. Come on, tell them.
My background.
Tell Frank.
What the NDP is interested in is commerce and melee. You could lick me up, you knock me down, and get up back. I'm a hard man for that.
After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. When the bell ring, the whole of them dead, dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. Yo, them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go beat them back.